I'm at 2716 Fairmont Avenue in Oakwood, Dayton, Ohio, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that may be of concern to the buyer. Our access point, at least the first access point here, is there's a stack coming through the back wall. I believe it's coming from an addition here that comes through the back wall and then drops down through the floor. There also looks to be a clean out in the front of the house, or at least the front of the basement. And so first things first, we're going to go through this and see how far we can get. I believe this may also come in. There's a line that is in the garage also, and I believe that it is just for the storm drain, but we'll try to inspect as much as we can get access to. So we have cast iron above ground, past this clean out, and it goes into cast iron below ground. This little bit of water is not an issue. It's barely above the camera lens. That camera lens is only about a ½ inch, and so hopefully we can get out of the water here soon. If not, I may have to get a standoff to try to raise the camera up a little bit. It doesn't look like, as you can see, there's not a whole lot of water, but there is some standing water, and it makes it worse when you're pushing. It's because you're kind of pushing the stuff up in front of the camera, so we'll go out as far as we can, and then maybe we'll be able to see a little bit better on the way back. Yeah, I think I'm pushing some debris too, and that's probably part of it. Cast iron, though, just to note, is it's always ugly. It does rust, as you can see. It's pretty common for the material. The rust, you can kind of gauge. You can't really gauge how thin or thick the pipe walls are because it does always rust. And so you're looking for functionality, the shape of the line. Like this, all looks good. Doesn't look like it's looks like it's pretty open. It doesn't have a bunch of channeling and build up around the outside edges of the line. There's a little bit of build up here, some grease and stuff. It's pretty normal to find little spots like that with some grease buildup coming from a kitchen line. And this is all the lines come through this area. So far, all this cast iron looks like it's in pretty good, it's kind of standard shape for a line of this age and material. So we're looking for any obvious like holes in the pipe and obstructions to flow. The line is definitely flat, which is also kind of common when you're still under the floor in the house. And that looks like there's an access point just to the top left of the screen. You can see there's an opening on the pipe. That is probably the clean out there in the front, towards the front of the house. Should be switching over to a different pipe material, and here we are here. We're exiting the house and it's switching pipe material, and this looks like we're switching over to concrete. You can usually tell it's usually clay or concrete based off the age, and this may actually be clay, just kind of discolored. I thought that may have been exposed aggregate on the side, but I think this is probably just clay with a little bit of coating on it. We'll see if we can tell better as we go. Yeah, it's clay. It just had some grease spotting on it that almost looked like exposed aggregate. clay is a lot more common, and now you can see the reddish of that vitreous clay. So I have a little bit of root intrusion here. Nothing to be concerned about. It's so little at this point that there's really nothing you'd be able to even do about it. You couldn't even feel it if you tried to clean it. And so what I will recommend is a future dose of some Rudex, which is just material that foams up and kind of catches on those roots as it flows down the line, and that can kind of burn back the roots. Basically, it kind of keeps the roots at bay so that they don't grow any further. But that looks like, based off of the growth that we saw there, wouldn't even be needed for another year. So we've made it all the way out to the sewer main. You can see this opens up into a larger pipe that runs down the street. And so we'll pull back and take another look. So this line is relatively flat, which is probably because it's so close to the street. And so if you pull back, you can see kind of flashes where we can see the pipe and inspect, even though we were underwater for a minute. That's only about a ½ inch of water in a 6-inch diameter pipe, so this is not a lot of water, and we don't see a huge buildup of solids or anything like that, which is what you'd be looking for as a sign that there were some backups or something. This all looks like it's in good shape for its age. Structurally, everything is intact, and water is flowing. You can see right here, this is some of those roots. And so we'll see if we can pop them loose. And so again, mainly what you're looking for is just like what that is, maybe, you know, put some of that Rudex down there in 6 months to a year as a dose to keep those at bay. There's a very, very little amount of roots. The footage on that is about 76 feet. And that was the only root intrusion that I saw along the line, which is also good news. We're already back into the cast iron. See, hopefully we can see a little bit better as we pull back versus the push out. So we do have some, you know, all this kind of buildup of material is relatively normal. You'll have a lot of mineral buildup on the bottom of the pipe and rust, and so flat looks flat with that water. Again, haven't seen any major buildups of any solids, and this all looks pretty normal for a house of this age with this pipe material. You don't see any holes in the line or root intrusion or any breaks. So we'll see how much of this we can see, and if I need to push out a second time to look at some of this with the standoff, that's what we'll do. And see, this looks like a little bit of grease buildup. It also kind of looks like this could be dormant roots. A lot of times when you have root intrusion, if they aren't moving and aren't actively growing, you'll have buildup on the outside of them like this. Like the grease will get on it, but if the roots are not growing through it, then they won't get any bigger or any smaller. It's another thing that would help with if there is anything active in that area, that Rudex would help keep the flow line open. And all these things are pretty regular maintenance. There are things that you could do to permanently keep the line from keep the roots out, but pretty invasive and pretty expensive. So as we pull back, we'll try to kind of flash and see what we're looking at. We do have a flat spot from about 27, 28 feet. We can see areas where it opens, so it's not much water, and we can see from here down the distance of that section. So there's about 6 feet. It's just a flat spot where it's holding water. So roughly 20 to 27 feet. And again, this is only a half, the camera's only about a half an inch off the bottom of the pipe, so but we may end up having to just go through the first like 30 feet of the line again, just to get a little bit better look at it. Make sure that this is looking good. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I am going to pull the camera out, and I will pause the video, and then we'll go out and I'll get that attachment, and then we'll make a second pass through the first 30 feet or so of the line. So I'm going to pause the video. Okay, put a little attachment there on the front of the camera. We're going to push back through, and that way we can hold the camera up on the bottom of the pipe a little bit. That way we can take a look at the top of the pipe and make sure that that camera lens is out of the pipe a little bit. There we go. Or out of the water, excuse me. And because of the drag, what we'll do is be able to push it and it'll hold it, but it's kind of forcing down, and then as we pull back, it'll kind of force that camera up towards the top of the So one thing I do want to mention with all this is you want to make sure that you're not using any wet wipes. Cast iron is known for, because of how rough the pipe is, it does have a tendency to get soft clogs, which is clogs due to excess toilet paper. You never want to use paper towels, anything like that, just due to the fact that it will it can block up. And so this is where stuff started, and we want to get above that water. So from about, we'll say from about 30 feet out back to about 20, I believe, is where the largest stuff was. And so I didn't see anything structurally that I was real concerned about. But from this area, about 30 foot back to 20 is a pretty hefty belly. Looks like things are kind of sitting in it. It will overtake it, but you definitely want to watch using any kind of wet wipes. Don't flush anything that shouldn't be down there. Even though they say flushable, they're not, and they can easily catch on this cast iron. And with it being flat like this and holding a little bit of water, it would be even more likely that it could cause a soft clog. Structurally, as long as you use those things, this should flow open and freely. But again, if you start using things like wet wipes, they catch and can cause some backups, and that would most likely come out of this drain here in the basement floor. But structurally, the line looked functional, it looked okay. There was no blockages or anything like that. I'm going to try to get the camera to maybe go upstream, but we'll probably have to take the attachment off. And so, but I wanted to just say that the line looked good and functional all the way out from about, basically from the base of this out about 30 feet. The line is flat, and so it would be a little more, as long as you're just running water through there and toilet paper and natural materials, it should be fine, and everything would run freely out to the main. You just want to avoid using things that you shouldn't. I keep repeating that because they can cause backups, and it has nothing to do with the structural integrity of the pipe and everything to do with how it's made, and was never designed to handle, it was never designed for you to put rags and stuff down the line, so it can cause backups. But we're going to pause the video here. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to see if I can get it to go back through the pipe that is running through the wall here, and see if we can check out a little bit more pipe here. Okay, so we're going to make an attempt. I believe this just goes over into a bathroom here in the addition. I don't think it goes any further, but a lot of times I can see where it wants to go, but I don't think it'll go. There we go. So we'll push back through here up into the line. Now, looks like the line. Looks like the toilet needs to be flushed a few more times to get this stuff out of here. We're going to see where this is all coming from. This is upstream of this clean out. We're going to see if this comes all the way from the garage. I'm unable to get that other stuff through here, that standoff, so I believe this is the line that comes all the way out of the garage and is just carrying storm, and that's why you have this emergency pump back here, and you can see all the buildup of debris. Looks like this is probably debris, from the storm line that's coming into this. So we'll push back as far as I can, and then we'll do a locate on it. You can see we're in clay now. That way you can at least be aware that there's a line coming out of the garage that carries a bunch of storm water in through the house. So you want to be aware of that. It would help flush out the line, and so that's good. But yeah, you can see here, these are things that I actually saw in that area drain out there in the garage. So we're going to stop here. There's an access. There's a vent behind here that I noticed in the back of the garage. And it's strictly there to vent the fixture, or in this case that area drain in the middle of the garage floor. Just displace the water to allow it to flow freely. So what I'm going to do here is pause the video once again. This is all just a storm line coming out of the garage, so I'm going to pause the video so I can locate and verify that. Okay, we have verified. I am right at the right underneath that catch basin there. Actually going right into the end of it here. Right there. So you can actually see the corner of it. My camera would be lighting up the catch basin in the garage. So everything looks good from here. You do have some debris in there, but there's probably not a whole lot of water that gets into that on a regular basis. Probably has some downspouts and stuff that also come into the interior line, but any of this, we'll say this is from the access point. I would be referring to it as upstream and downstream of the access point. Downstream, we have that flat spot or belly about for the first 25 feet or so of the line when it drops through the floor. That's just where the line is flat and holding a little bit of water, maybe a half an inch or so. And the water itself will overtake it, and as long as you're using natural materials, there's a Y in from the right. As long as you're using natural materials, the line should function as designed. This line all through here is all coming from, like I mentioned, this is all coming from the garage. There is some downspouts and stuff that are also tying into all this. So the good thing is during the rain it should help flush all this out, but if it does become too much for the line, there's a possibility of it backing up into this floor drain. I believe they have, that's what kind of this emergency pump and everything is for. It is for more of the storm line that comes in from the back of the house. As we're getting here, we should be coming up to the spot where all this is just storm debris that's gotten in the line. We should be coming up to where the bathroom connects. I think that's it, right? Oh, no. Right there, and that's where the bathroom comes in. So really the first 12 feet is the only thing that's really concerning as far as the sanitary side of this is. And it does all look good. So we are now back out of the line and back in the reel. So the line overall is in good shape. It's fully functional. Downstream for the first 25 feet or so, like I mentioned, there is the line's pretty flat, and so it is holding a little bit of water. But again, I have to say it a million times: as long as you use toilet paper and natural materials are all that goes down this line, it should function normally and not have any issues. The line itself is structurally intact. There's no major issues, and the line coming upstream of the access point from the garage does carry storm, and so there is always a possibility that it can overtake the amount, and I would talk to the homeowner about the pump setup back here to see if that's to mitigate any overflows of the storm system, just as a precautionary measure. They would know what all the pump system is about. But overall, the line is fully functional, open and flowing at time of inspection, and so that'll end the inspection at 2716 Fairmont Avenue in Oak Brook, Dayton, Ohio. Or Oakwood, sorry.